Welcome back everyone. So we continue on our seahorse journey, and today I'm going to show you how to just mix a little bit more of your Hooker's Green Deep. I in fact used my little, what shall we call this? A shooter glass with a lid. I get it at a local little crazy store or plastic container store. So I buy them in little packs of 10, I think, or 20. Anyway, they are great for mixing color. So I'm just going to use a round brush. I just find it easier to mix color with a brush than just with a stick or a palette knife. So I used a whole half a tub of this yesterday on one of my paintings. So anyway, it really works for me simply because I don't have this color in a tube, so it makes my life easier to just mix it and have enough of it at hand so that when we are painting, I don't have to constantly remix it. And I might use a lot more as well going forward. So in this little shooter cup, I'm going to put 1 part of my alizarin crimson in there. That's also going to help me to darken my green. I'm going to put 1 part of Payne's Grey. I just love the undertone of it and the translucency of it. I'm going to add 1 part of iron oxide black. And then in the end, I decided that this green earth or sap green deep is just the best thing ever. So I'm going to put 2 parts of that green in there. And I'm going to use my brush. It's okay if there's a bit of water on there, because the paint is going to be nice and thick and yummy. Now I know it's just going to look black to you. I think we can add a bit more green to this. Yes, maybe a little bit more green. But it really is a color that I do use a lot lately, so it won't be a mix or a waste. It won't be a waste. I'm trying to say, if I mix a little bit more, because I can seal this little jar and just keep it closed until I need it. Let's give it a good stir. I think I'm going to add a bit more green, just a little bit. Oh, there's lots of commotion in the street outside, so I apologize if you hear my doggies bark in the background. There we go. That looks nice and delicious. Yes. So you definitely want to be able to see that it still has a green bias to it. It's not just black and grey. It definitely has a red bias. So let me just use my kitchen towel here and just wipe some of this off. I'm going to add some water. Just want to thin it out here. Yes, so you can definitely see when I add water to it that it has a green bias. It's not just black. So you can clearly see that's a very, very dark, deep Hooker's green. And that is exactly what we're going to be needing and using. So I'll put this kitchen towel away. And then you can bring forth your canvas. I'm going to put that there. Alrighty then. Now the next thing you're going to be needing on this side, so I'll just put these colors away in my box so that they're close at hand for when I need to remix. Here we go. But we will need titanium white, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to go about. I'll dispense my white when I need it. Okay, I'll show you guys how I'm going to go about starting off this painting. And one of the tips I want to give you before we get into this is like have your colors pre-mixed already for each of these little segments, because we're going to work wet into wet. And what that means is when you apply your first layer of paint, we're not going to allow it to dry. We're going to go straight in with our titanium white afterwards. And it will make sense to you as we go. What I'm basically doing is I'm creating values and depth for the final colors to go on top. And that's why we're going to sort of practice with this first coral reef, the pinky one and the corally one in the background, and some of these finer little corals in the back. That's behind the seahorse. Alrighty then. So let's get into that. And I think, what brush am I going to use? I want to use an angle brush. I almost see as we go with what I have, which one of these will be better. I think I'm going to use the smaller one for now. Alrighty then. I'm going to dispense some of my Hooker's green paint because I want to seal the lid of my little cup. Looking for words, thinking while I'm doing here. Okay, so I've dispensed a bit of my Hooker's green, and now I can go ahead and just seal this little, what do we call this? Shooter glass. I just want another piece of kitchen towel handy and ready for any oopsies or messes. Let's keep that clean. There we go. And there you have it. You have a pre-mixed Hooker's green in a tub so that you always have it at hand during the painting process. Okay, right. Now, activate your brush with some water, but I'm not going to remove all of the water. I want to paint quite wet is what I was trying to say. Alrighty then, so I'm going to hold my reference material just over here for myself. Oopsie daisy, sorry if I'm bumping things. Just want to be able to see what I'm painting, and I'll bring the reference material up for you guys on the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. And for now, I'm literally going to focus just on this coral that we drew in. And again, I remind you guys, we're not trying to photocopy anything. We're just trying to capture the essence of the coral reef. And it's your coral reef. It's what you want it to look like. So I'm adding a bit of water here because I don't want the paint to dry on me fast. But if it does, it's also not a train smash. But we do want a little bit of moisture here in our paint as we bring in this Hooker's green dog. And I'm just going to make this interesting for myself, and just using these little arms that grow off of each other, so these little branches. And even the charcoal now is going to add depth to this painting, because it's a temporary medium and we're coming over it now with a wet paint. So I'm working quite fast, and this is the whole thing about painting loose. You don't want to spend too much time, because this is not so much about detail as it is about blocking in. And if you find that your brush marks looks too thick or untidy, it's okay, don't stress about it. We're still going to be doing some negative painting around the subject matter here, and I will explain all of that as we go. Let's just give this a nice presence on our canvas, and you can see how vibrant the background is, because these colors are complementary to each other on the color wheel. If your environment is really hot and paint dries fast on you, you can always mist it just a little bit, because you want it to stay slightly damp. And I'm just making it up as we get down to the base of this coral, because the unicorn is going to be sitting on top of it. Adding some water to my paint. I just want it really fluid. And anything that you drew that you don't want to add, it's okay. We're going to be painting around it. Just filling the space. Give it a good wiggle so that it's not just straight lines. Just checking on the other paint. I see those first sections are starting to dry, so I'm just going to mist it with a bit of water, so it takes a bit of time, but not a lot. I don't want seepage. That was almost a bit too much water now. Oops. It's okay, people. It's a painting, and painting loose really is a lot of fun. Any boo-boos that we are making, it's okay. Take a deep breath in. Okay. So we've got this structure in. You can rinse your brush a little bit, but it doesn't even have to be super clean. Let's dispense some of this titanium white. I really have a lot of water on my canvas now. So don't add that much water if you're doing. I sometimes underestimate how strong my water mister is. Okay, now we're going to use our titanium white, and we're just basically going to go over the whole structure. And what it's going to do, it's going to create values. You can see how this green is going to come forward, and as we bring the same structure forward, it's going to give you some beautiful nuances and shadows. Here's a little bit of a pool of water on my canvas, but it's okay. I think it's going to add to the effect in the end without me even realizing. So if it fans out a little bit, it's okay. We're going to come around it with negative painting. We're going to allow this process to just flow. We are working with a water element when we are engaging with a seahorse. So water is all about fluidity and flow. Water doesn't like to be stagnant and stiff. So you can see how the titanium white is going to sink into this Hooker's green mixture of ours. And it's going to give us beautiful values, subtle mixtures of different values. That is always helpful when we are painting, because I think that's one of the hardest things to control and manipulate the whole time when you paint, is to have a variety of values. It's one of the things that's, I think, challenging for new beginners. It's easy to just do a color straight out of the tube and we hope for the best, because we're already, sort of struggling to get line and shape and form and all of these things in our work. So I think values is one of the things that new beginner artists might begin to work on last in their sort of growth as artists. And it's one of those things that can really, bring success to your painting practice, is when you understand that there are different values, lights and darks and contrast in your work, playing on those shadows. So you can see how quick we're painting, and I'm not, constantly staring at the reference material, trying to manipulate or copy every detail. I'm just really trying to capture the essence. So that Hooker's green dark is giving us a beautiful depth, and as this titanium white is going to sink in to this paint, it's going to just give you beautiful values to play with. Okay, let's look at the finer sort of aspect of this zone that's going to sit behind the treasure chest. There's a lot of bushiness, not a lot of detail, and the same here, here's a little bit of a bushiness, and then there's a bit more structure here. So I'm going to rinse my brush. Now that that coral reef is in, I'm going to get back into my Hooker's green, and I'm just going to place this little thingamajig. It's a finer little coral, but it doesn't have a lot of obvious detail. It's a little bit more just a crossover shape that's going to fill the background, because the treasure chest is coming in front of this. And then I'm going to go into my titanium white, and I'm just going to just speak a little bit about these textures that I'm seeing here. We can add a bit of water, see what it will do. There we go. I'm just turning my brush using that little toe of the angle brush to give me a little bit of a finer finish. Again, I'm making it my own. It doesn't have to be exactly what we're seeing on the reference material. And the same goes for the other side. Back into my Hooker's green, I see some finer structures here. So it's got a little bit of arms, almost like this, but a little bit finer, a little bit smaller. Okay. And then there's that round bush-like structure sitting about here. So I'm going to make that a little bit thicker. So just try to represent the shape and not so much the detail. The detail will come later. So it's look at the overall shape of this sea plant and just try and represent it with texture and with a little bit of form coming forward till about here. So we're going to work from the back forward. So anything that you bring down too low, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just a slight rinse, get back into my titanium white. Let's add a drop of water to this. I like to work wet. And let's talk a little bit about this little fern-like structure. That's so cool. And then it's this beautiful little rounded sea anemone or coral. I'm just pressing my brush into this black paint as I pick up my titanium white to just read a little bit of contrast. Being mindful of the shape the whole time of this plant. I think that is it. We have arrived at a very good place. I just want to reiterate this a little bit. In fact, I'm not even going to fuss with it anymore. I love it, I love it, I love it. So this is a very good place for us to stop. I want you to try this on your canvas. If you're scared, take a piece of paper and just first play with your hooker's green and your titanium white. And don't be scared to add water. Don't be scared. Just don't add so much water that everything starts to run off your canvas. Okay. And then just look for these beautiful greeny grays with a little bit of contrast around it. And that is exactly what we are aiming for. So people, there we've got the first structure on our painting already. And this is really exciting. Oh my God, I'm loving it. Okay. So go ahead and get your first coral structures in, and remember to take a photograph of your progress art and share it with me on the Creative Heart. And if you have any questions or aha moments, then share it with me in a comment below this video. I will answer all of the questions and comments. I will respond to in person as soon as they do pop up. So thank you for watching. Stay creative, and I'll see you in the next episode where we're going to start to bring in a little bit of the background already, and I'm going to show you how to do negative painting and allow this whole process to bring everything together. So that's going to give us a beautiful background, and we're going to play with the sand to just ground everything, and then we'll start layering all of the elements coming forward. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you guys soon.